About a month ago, I reached 1,000 subscribers, and in celebration of that, I asked for people to give me their craziest Degrassi Crackships, with the promise that I would write a short blurb about how they got together. And boy, was this a little harder than I thought they'd be. Some pairings were rather obvious in my mind, and others I had to do some mental backflips to figure out, well, how could these two very different people end up in a romantic relationship? And since there were so many pairings given, I'm going to split this up into 2 different videos. Half in this one and half in the other. Or at least as half as I can get it. 25 divided by 2 does not make for a nice clean whole number. So let's get started. They say boys pick on you if they like you. At least, that was true for Campbell Saunders. He felt that he needed to be opaque with his feelings for Tristan, being not just a hockey player, but a hockey player on a team of guys who would likely bully him for showing interest in another boy. So, when he found out it was Tristan and not Maya he was face-ranging, it made his heart leap. On one hand, he was mad that Tristan tricked him, but on the other, this meant he had so much in common with his crush. Under the guise of pursuing Maya, he began to spend more and more time with Tristan in class and instant messaging the hours away outside of school. And needless to say, Tristan was ecstatic. Finally, his first boyfriend. Though it very much bothered him that they couldn't kiss or really be anything in public other than mutual friends of Maya, even still, he treasured the brief moments of romance he could steal, imagining this to be his very own Romeo and Juliet tale, except a version where the leads don't end up dead at the end. It wasn't an easy decision for Bianca to break off her engagement to Drew, especially with Drew's efforts to rekindle the long-gone spark. In a fit of anger, to show that she'd moved on, Bianca opted to kiss the first person she saw. It happened to be Becky Baker. A confusing moment on so many levels, especially for Becky. She didn't like the sudden PDA, but she didn't dislike the kiss itself, which is why she quietly chased after Bianca when she stormed off. It was incredibly awkward to ask why she was the one Bianca chose to kiss, especially because she wanted there to be more reason than random chance. But rather than another test for Becky to see if there's truly a spark between them, she found herself comforting the distraught Bianca. Still, this led to semi-regular correspondence through face range, then nightly messages, and through it all, the chance Becky longed for to see what she truly felt for her unlikely crush. Maybe it was the alcohol. Maybe it was organic. Regardless, Claire left the prop room with an ounce of connection with Mike Dallas. Though she knew making out with him there and then would be wrong since she was dating Eli, a part of her at least wanted to. He reminded Claire of a time when Eli seemed more of a free, carefree spirit, something she desperately needed after Asher, something to forget. And she still felt that way after Eli and her broke up after Cam's suicide. Dallas wasn't feeling that much better. Weighed down with the guilt of Cam's death, along with the stress of trying to convince his ex to let him be a dad, he sought comfort anywhere he could find it, which was perfect for Claire. They both wanted a no-strings-attached arrangement. Just be something. Not really friends, not really dating, just hanging out with casual making out. For a short time, it made them feel good, which was perfect for them. It didn't last, but they at least felt it was worth the time they had. When Claire hid in the prop room closet, it was alone. That is, until suddenly a crying Campbell Saunders busted through the doors, frightening and unsuspecting Claire. Quickly, Claire pushed aside her own reasons for being there and took the time to listen to the stranger. She found that she connected with his feelings of being put upon by everything around him, and Cam felt comfort in her unselfish kindness, especially because she didn't tell him to just be happy or to get over it. They both knew how it was to feel trapped and found solace in it. Soon they were regularly meeting up in the prop room during Cam's study period and what was supposed to be Claire's co-op time. They didn't always talk about the bad things in their lives, but knowing that they could was a wonderful comfort. So much so that feelings are not hard to catch when you're so emotionally vulnerable with someone. When they kissed for the first time, it felt weird, yet also rather comforting. Maya wasn't in the healthiest of mindsets when she first met Ellie Nash. Her suicide attempt was but a few weeks ago, and the point of group therapy was to put the pieces of her back together. Still, it was hard to make yourself believe that there was a way to make yourself feel normal again. Yet, being surrounded by people like her helped, especially Ellie. Though she admitted it'd been years since she'd done anything, Maya really connected to how she described feeling trapped in her own mind and only being able to fixate on wanting escape. However, Ellie saw her developing relationship with Maya as a mentorship rather than a romantic connection. That is, until Maya's hand brushed her own during an innocent coffee date at the Dot. It ignited something in Ellie that she didn't even know was there. At first, Ellie tried to slip out of Maya's life, but as with many things in her life, she couldn't run from this. She saw some of herself in Maya, but there was so much more to her infatuation. Not to mention, perhaps she'd have more success dating younger. It was surprising when Saad decided to pursue a career in politics over his previous musical ambitions. Not only did it mean disregarding years of previous effort, but also trying to mingle with the Toronto movers and shakers, which was what brought him to the fundraiser at Mayor Hollingsworth's residence. To be frank, it was a little hard to keep up with the smoozing of all the big names, so it was nice to make conversation with the board guy standing against the wall. Not knowing he was the mayor's son, Saad found himself laughing at his cynical quips and genuinely interested in his criticisms of these political get-togethers. And for Hunter, it was nice to actually be heard at one of these events. So often was his purpose to stand to the side and look pretty that he would have found more entertainment in counting cracks in the pool deck. This time, he was a person, someone other than just an ornament for the mayor to wear. At first, there was concern that Saad only took interest in Hunter because of who his dad was, but soon it became clear that their connection ran deeper. The only thing was how Saad would explain to his parents that he was seeing a non-Muslim who was also a guy. When Ellie bought that fateful sandwich, time-bending sauce was not listed as an ingredient, which frankly was a huge oversight by the store. Had she known, Ellie might not have panicked as much when she found herself transported to the year 1990. Suddenly trapped in a world pre-internet and portable cell phones, she had nowhere to go or even a way to get back to her time. As it suddenly started pouring, she was extremely thankful for the kind, red-headed boy who offered her an umbrella. He was rather awkward in his speech, but was perceptive enough to know that she was in trouble. Staying at his house was awkward, especially because his mom was very overbearing, but Ellie had little other choice. She hoped to find a way back to her own time, but was very grateful when Archie's parents allowed her to stay until her family was found, which was the story she gave them and their son. Though he often stumbled on his words, Ellie found Archie charming and a decent change to some of the other guys she'd known. He was fun in a brainer sort of way, but also very mature. And for Snake, a girl being interested in him at all was a huge turn-on. Of course, they couldn't be open in their relationship as they lived under the same roof, but the moments that they could steal together were cherished. Hopefully, Ellie never learns of who Snake Simpson would grow up to be. Seeing Eli naked in the girls' change room did more for Allie than she initially let on. Of course, she couldn't act on her attraction since he was still dating her best friend, but she couldn't say that she wasn't a little happy when the couple split. Finding ways to talk to Eli without Claire suspecting was the hard part, but infatuation will find a way, like happening to run into Eli at the dot and happening to have a question for him specifically. There was the expected discussion of how's Claire these days, to Allie's dismay, but through it, Eli found himself grateful for Allie's company. At least Allie listened to what he's saying rather than miscontextualizing it. In Allie, Eli found a much appreciated confidant, once he got past the fear of Allie being an informant for Claire or such. Jake and the guys were fine, but Allie filled a space that they could not. It was a shock when Allie eventually asked him on a date, and though Eli initially declined the offer, he found himself sort of eager to give it a try. Of course he still cared for Claire, but he couldn't ignore what led to their breakup. And Allie was here now, not showing any of those features that he disliked in Claire. Being the third wheel is hard, especially when it's to the girl you like. Eli and Claire seemed like the dream team, but Adam couldn't help but hope that they wouldn't actually start dating. Ever since Claire was so supportive of Adam coming out as trans, he was attached to her, which made hers and Eli's will they won't they romance all the more painful. Thankfully, Eli was stubborn, not healthy for him, but at least created the desired effect for Adam. As Eli distanced himself from Claire, Adam was able to move in as the supportive friend, though not in the predatory way that it sounds. He genuinely wanted to help mend Claire's broken heart, and for a time was able to push aside his own feelings. In the semester before the Vegas dance, the two grew close enough that Adam felt ready to take the leap and ask Claire to the dance. When she said yes, Adam was almost certain that she thought he meant to go as friends, but his fear subsided when he found himself slow dancing with Claire. It gave him the courage to finally tell Claire how he felt, and to his delight, Claire didn't reject him. Again, she said yes. She wasn't lying when she told Liz that Joey was okay. Spike had a soft spot for Joey's joking nature, though she admittedly often found him immature. But after the baby was born, she needed a bit of fun. And for Joey, he was eager for a rebound. Caitlyn dumping him was crushing. He couldn't even find enjoyment in making his band's music video. And this is what brought the two together to the movies on a Friday night. There were moments where Spike nearly reconsidered, but when she let go of her hesitance, she realized that she was honestly having fun. More fun than she'd known since getting pregnant. It was a distraction for both of them, and they eagerly ran towards it. Though their friends thought they were speeding towards a brick wall, Spike and Joey just grew closer and closer until their platonic fun eventually turned romantic. Riley usually likes his guys more on the slender side. That, on top of his personality, made it all the more confusing when Riley realized he had a crush on Owen the homophobe Milligan. To be fair, Owen had gotten better at not being the worst as of late, but regardless, why Owen? It was also hard for Owen to admit the reason why he picked on Riley so much. On the one hand, trying to weigh toxic masculinity with finding guys hot is mind-breaking. On the other, seeing Riley, the manliest and cutest of men, be friendly to the idea of dating guys drove him wild. Riley was his idol, the image of the man Owen wanted to be, football captain and so not gay. And on top of that, Riley possibly being able to return Owen's feelings made everything more complicated. Owen could hardly hold himself back any longer when he ran into Riley at the dot. He found himself switching between borderline hateful snark and genuine regret as he apologized for Riley for everything. He could tell Riley wanted to insult him, but his heart leapt when his crush accepted his butchered apology. This led to Owen spending more time with Riley and the two growing close. It wasn't until a dance during Riley and Zane's many breakups that Owen got his chance to confess his feelings. So many times he started to say it, but so many times he backed out. That is, until he found Riley standing alone in the hallway. At first, Owen was obtuse in his confession. Then, after it was clear that Riley wasn't getting it, Owen finally blurted out what he'd meant all along. Riley clearly didn't know how to take it at first. Owen assumed his confession fell on deaf ears at first, until Riley leaned in and planted a kiss on Owen's lips. So that was interesting, and there are some other really interesting pairs coming in the next video, so stay tuned. Once more, thank you so much to all my subscribers and people who consume my videos. Thank you for the pairing suggestions, even the crackest of ships, and as always, until next time.